Welcome back folks, and welcome back to a new video. So today we're going to talk about the Blood of Dawnwalker because 2 days ago we actually got a new game trailer. Now even though technically this was labeled as a gameplay trailer, there wasn't too much gameplay within this video, but fear not, because we are getting the actual proper gameplay soon. Because on June 21st at 9 PM Central European Summer Time, 3 PM EDT or 12 PM PTD, we're gonna be getting the gameplay reveal event, and this is what they said. On the first day of summer, June 21st, gather around at their Twitch website for a 45-minute live stream. They're going to give us approximately 15 minutes of gameplay with presentation of features, a dev insight into the game's magic, traversal and combat system, epic music and more. Now of course do keep in mind that the footage you're actually seeing from this game trailer is the pre-beta in-engine footage, and we can sort of see how the game is going to look like within the game parameters without any CGI of sorts, because they actually show some scenes from the gameplay with Brancis and his other, buddies and everything, which sort of happens within the game. So one of the things we sort of already knew, but they reconfirmed it in this trailer, is that yes, they're going to try to turn Cohen into a vampire, but the problem which actually happens is that Cohen, our character, becomes a Dawnwalker, which means that you're gonna be able to go outside during the day as in a human form, and you can go and do other stuff during the night in the vampire form. So these are going to be these two things, or well, these two dynamics which are going to follow us throughout the game itself. Now keep in mind, within this trailer we saw a few moments where they're actually doing some combat, and it seems it's very much going to be sort of a classic action combat. It's not going to be too heavy on that, but I do like how enemies actually look in this game, especially this big guy who's I don't know, made out of wood, like a mannequin with wings, and honestly this is going to be sort of insane to fight. But also in the trailer we see some vampiric powers that Cohen is going to have. One of the cool things here is that he's sort of going to most likely find out about those powers throughout the game, because he's going to try and get used to them. Because when you think about it, this is only the first game in the entire saga which they have planned, so this is only the beginning of, I guess, Cohen's journey. So one of the things we actually see here is that he is learning that he can actually walk on stuff, for example buildings. He can go vertical, horizontal, doesn't matter, he can climb that. So actually having this ability within the game itself is sort of cool. And also throughout the trailer we see a dynamic of what happens in Valle Sangora after the vampires took over, which does mean that technically, Brancis and his crew don't want to just, wipe out humans, they want to rule over them. This also means that, well, you're gonna be playing by their rules. So ultimately what these vampires want is for people to be turned into mindless fiends that are just going to be there for them to have some blood. Because in this sense, vampires do have to have blood all the time. So I mean, you take over a village or a town, you get people under your rule, you say to them, okay, I'm going to protect you, but guess what? From time to time, you're gonna be giving us some blood. If you do something bad, if you rise against me or whatever, well, we're going to make an example out of you and drain your blood at the same time. So Cohen is going to be that guy who's gonna be actually fighting them. So that's cool because, well, these vampires, they cannot function during the day, only we can. So we're gonna be technically this medieval blade. Now we also got a release window, so they said 2026 that this game is coming out. Keep in mind that, of course, we don't have an exact release date, and I'm pretty sure, just like everybody else, they're waiting for what Rockstar is going to do with GTA 6. Now we do know the release date, and I know that these are two separate games, but you have to keep in mind, even if you don't even want to hear about GTA 6, you have to keep in mind that they're a huge game and that no developer wants to release close to them. Because ultimately they take all of your spotlight, and regardless of what sort of game you're going to be the main hype within the media, the whatever social media itself, it's only going to be about that one game. So I'm pretty sure they're kind of waiting to like see what's gonna be happening, but to be honest, I don't really expect the Blood of Dawnwalker to come out by at least like late 2026. I really don't expect this game, especially if they're gonna be showing some pre-beta footage, that we're gonna be getting like early 2026. I don't think that's happening. To be honest, it would be kinda cool if they released this game in 2026 on like the 21st, on the first day of summer. That would be nice. And when it comes to style, when it comes to the graphics, when I look at some of the things which are happening on the screen, honestly, I'm really looking forward to it because it looks very dark and it looks sort of like it's set in this Carpathian region. I don't know how to explain it, but it's definitely this vibe which is going to really make this vampiric story be really like, how would I say, true to life in a sense, like very familiar and very cool, because you're setting everything sort of like in that region, within those mythologies and everything which happens around that. But you know, Brancis wants to be like the ruler of this, and well, he's gonna be an interesting character. And also yesterday we had the Xbox Wire where Mateusz Tomaszkiewicz, who is the creative director at Rebel Wolves, talked more about, you know, the game itself. Now, there are some things here which we already know that we talked about, but I'm going to go through it anyway. This is what he says about the story. Our game takes place in Valle Sangora, a fictional remote valley tucked somewhere in the Carpathian Mountains of Eastern Europe. And while the Blood of Dawnwalker is a work of fiction, real-world history plays a key role in the narrative. The old continent and its people are in dire shape. 14th century Europe was already ravaged by brutal wars, but it was the Black Death that truly brought civilization to its knees. It decimated the population and left entire regions in the state of collapse. And while the plague was a catastrophe of unprecedented scale, for some it presented an opportunity that they couldn't be ignored. One of them was Brancis, a vampire who emerges from the shadows, overthrows the local lord Skander, and seizes power in Valle Sangora. But even a powerful vampire knows brute force isn't enough to maintain power. This is what we talked about. To win people over, he offers them something no one else can: a cure. Using the properties of vampiric blood, he saves them from the plague. I mean, technically, if you were in 14th century and you had, like, you know, the Black Plague and everything, and you had someone like, for example, him, come up to you and say you're going to be healed, it's honestly a very easy way for them to actually assume power. And this is what we kind of like sort of like learned in the reveal trailer, because he does cure his sister, because I'm guessing like his sister did have the plague. When it comes to vampires, this is what he said: from the start, our goal was to make both of Cohen's forms, human and vampire, equally engaging, fun and meaningful to play. Each brings unique abilities and influences the world, quests and story in different ways. When it comes to vampires, we wanted to honor the classic vision, the elegant nobility of the knight, while also introducing some twists that make our vampires stand out in more distinctive, sometimes unsettling ways. And this is also something that we knew about, especially if you're watching the channel before. So in the world of Dawnwalker, you cannot be turned into a vampire simply if you were bitten. A vampire actually has to take a teeth and stick it into your heart, pretty much, and that's how you turn into a vampire. And I think they tried to do the same with Cohen, I guess, but he turned out the way he did. Now also keep in mind that in this universe, the more teeth vampire has, that means the older that vampire is. For the narrative sandbox, this is what Mateusz said: we wanted to give players as much control over the narrative as possible, a clear objective but many paths to achieve it. That is the unique strength of video games as a storytelling medium, player agency, the way the game adapts to your actions. Your task in Dawnwalker is to save Cohen's family, but how you do it, it's up to you. Put simply, once the prologue ends, the world opens up, not just in the terms of traversal, but also narrative. There's a major goal ahead of you, but many ways to get there. Some players might embrace their vampire side and give in to their temptations. Others might cling to their humanity and reject the monster within. You can align with the human rebellion or finish the game without even meeting them. You can take the fight to Brancis at any time, choosing from multiple paths to do so. This open, player-driven approach is what we call narrative sandbox. It's the philosophy at the core of our storytelling. So this is what they talked about. So there is going to be a limited time within the game that you can save the family, or well, you know, kind of finish the game and do everything. Now do keep in mind that the way the time flows in this game, so if you're gonna be going out and just exploring, as far as I understand, the time is not going to pass. So you don't have to worry about, you know, standing in the middle of like the game, going for lunch and then having your game open. Like, the time is not going to pass in that sense. The time passes as you do and complete certain things. But that means you really have this freedom to do like whatever you want, because they even mentioned that if you don't feed Cohen enough, there is going to be, like, for example, a chance when you're talking to someone very important, someone close to you, that Cohen might go insane and, you know, kind of drink their blood. So you really have to be careful how you play this game, but at the end of the day, it's not going to be something cumbersome. As far as I understood them talk about this, that you're going to have like a timer and you have to finish everything within that timer, otherwise you're screwed. When it comes to combat, this is what Mateusz said. Cohen trained for years with his father, a grizzled war veteran, so during the day he wields a sword. We studied medieval fighting styles and even have a few trained swordsmen on the team. The result is combat that feels truly authentic and grounded, yet approachable and fun. As a human, he also learns how to use magic, raw, ritual-based with dark primordial origin. So when it comes to magic here, it's not going to be like fairy tale stuff. We're not, as he said, like, we're not going to do the high fantasy route with colorful explosions. I like that, that's cool. Our spells are darker and grounded, tied to blood, heat, and air that seems to pulse and breathe. The visuals can be striking, but in a more visceral, eerie way. To cast a spell, you first have to literally open up your body to the occult by carving runes and becoming a living conduit. Magic flows through you. At night though, these runes seal shut as your flesh regenerates. They fade like old scars, instead your vampiric nature awakens. You'll fight with claws, enhanced strength, supernatural agility, and dark powers only available after sunset. But these powers do come at a cost because, well, it sort of drains our humanity. And for example, if we are hurt, if we're using those powers, we have to keep our blood, for example, at a normal level. Otherwise, you know, as I said already, Cohen might go crazy and basically like completely drain an NPC, which is very important for the story. But one of the things which I do like here, there are so many ways it seems you can finish this story, and you can even attack Brancis, as they said here, right away. So whatever you do is going to influence like the reaction of Brancis and his crew. So if you start fighting more enemies, they're going to start placing more soldiers, etc, etc. So I like that the, you know, enemy is going to be more reactive, that our consequences are going to be leading to things which are going to really influence the world and everything around us. So that's something that I think is missing from RPGs these days, especially if we're talking about narrative RPGs. Of course, once we get a proper gameplay, there is going to be a lot more we can talk about. Right now, these things are very much limited. Now, when it comes to lore, I will have more lore videos. I'm actually planning one, but I don't want to make this video too long. Instead, I'm going to make a lore video into a separate one prior to, I believe, this gameplay coming out, so there is going to be a lot more content. But in any case, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to smash that like and subscribe button for more, and tell me down below in the comments what do you think about all of this. Also, don't forget to check us out on Twitter and Discord for more discussions. Huge thanks to my current Patreon supporters, and I will see you very soon with a new video. Bye bye.